Te reo ererangi o te mānia. This episode was produced in Otatahi by Plains Media, with support from New Zealand On Air.
You've heard the dragons roar. Now it's time to hear the ocean's answer. Welcome back to Avis's next adventure, the continuation of Avis and the Promise of Dragons. I'm Audrey Worsley, your guide into the deep. This is Avis and the Call of the Kraken by Healther McQuillan, published by Ahoy, an imprint of the Cuba Press in 2024. Ready? Hold your breath. The sea is waking. Melinda and Avis hurried back to the jetty. They rushed through the predator-free gate, past the prickly matagori, through the sandfly storm. Avis paused to spray extra repellent on her uncovered hands, face and neck, and arrived to the beach just in time to see Mr. Papaloo guiding his boat between the rocks of the reef towards the jetty. Lulu waved both arms at them. Avis waved back. "Don't mention what I said," Melinda begged. "It wasn't a scientific explanation. Let's hear what they saw first. It could have been an underwater earthquake stirring up the seabed." "Why couldn't it have been a kraken?" "Kraken are mythical creatures. There's no scientific evidence." "There was no evidence of dragons either until—" Melinda rubbed her forehead as if her brain was aching. "Melinda, she spoke to me. She said, 'What are you doing?'" "I saw that," said Melinda, "when you moved too close to the edge." "No, this was after that. And she said my name. She wants me to stop something." "Stop what?" "I don't know," said Avis, "and she said she was their mother." Noah's Ark pulled up onto the jetty, and Lulu reached out to tie it to the mooring post. Melinda rested her hand on Avis's. "Just don't mention the Kraken yet, okay, hun? Let's hear what they saw." "That wave." Mr. Papaloo's hands were shaking as he handed the chili bin to Melinda. "Was it a tsunami?" "I didn't feel an earthquake," she said. "What did you see? Just before the wave appeared?" "There was something big out there, feeding. Maybe a school of barracuda or mako." "The fish on the fish finder were running for their lives," added Lulu. "Whatever it was big. And then Uncle Noah saw—" "Oh yes, I saw something else on the screen. Miss Child, I don't know if my eyes were deceiving me, but—" "They weren't," interrupted Lulu. "I saw it too, right before the swell. A dark shape like an eel, but enormous, rising to the surface." "Could it have been some kind of fish, do you think, Noah?" asked Melinda. "Well, when I looked over the side of the boat," said Mr. Papaloo, "its eye was looking right back at me. An eye with a long black pupil watching me, an eye that was bigger than my boat," he faltered. Mr. Papaloo looked at Melinda, then to Avis, then to Lulu. "Taniwha," he said in a low voice. "Sea monster." They carried their lunch up to the hut in silence. Avis was waiting for Melinda to say they'd seen it too, a kraken, but it was Lulu who spoke. "I didn't see its eye," she said. "When the swell headed our way, I had to turn the boat and try to ride it out. I don't know what it was. There was definitely something close to the surface, something deep red or purple. All I could think was get out of its way, and fast. Good thing you're a fast thinker, my girl, otherwise we would have been dashed against the cliffs. Dinner for that taniwha. That wave was a roller coaster." Lulu twirled the end of her thick plait around her fingers. "I should have gotten a photo. That's what a real journalist would have done. Taken a photo just before it ate you. What good does that do if it swallows the camera and everything else?" "No, my girl, you did the right thing." They sat on the veranda to eat the picnic lunch prepared by Mrs. Papaloo. There were Vegemite and lettuce sandwiches. Avis added green onion chips to hers to give them some crunch, and cold chicken drumsticks with rice salad. "I don't think she was going to eat you," said Avis after she had taken a bite of her sandwich. Melinda tapped Avis sharply on the arm. "Maybe it was kelp," she said. "Kelp that scares the fish?" asked Lulu, who was eyeing Avis suspiciously. "Kelp that made the water swell and nearly swamp us?" "Maybe the swell was caused by an underwater volcano," offered Melinda. "This island was formed by a volcanic vent. It could still be active." So this island wasn't always here? Asked Avis. Like in Mr. Popoloo's legend? It really did appear overnight? Well, not recently, but yes. Islands often rise and fall in the ocean, all the time. Well, often enough not to be a mystery. There have been more recent examples in Japan and Tonga. This island is ancient, but it was formed from the same process. Magma cools and becomes rock, then soil forms or is blown over here over generations. Trees grow. Avis thought about the holy rock she had examined and the layers of red in the cliff face, evidence of ancient volcanic activity. Maybe it had been an underground eruption, and it was just kelp being pushed around after all. But then, what about her dragon's tear? What about the vibration and the voice? She might have imagined the voice, but its effect on the dragon's tear was undeniable. Melinda had seen the colours changing too. Avis absent-mindedly reached for her tear. "What's that?" asked Lulu. "That soft little bag you're wearing like a necklace. You keep touching it. Is it a talisman? Some sort of alien communication device?" Avis was startled. Lulu's guess was so close to the truth, so she hastily tucked the tear under her t-shirt. "It's nothing. Just something my mother gave me." It was only half a lie. Her mother had given her a silver locket in a blue satin pouch. The locket was on her dresser at home. Lulu's gaze was intense. She was waiting for a better answer. Avis had to say something to put her off track. "My mother gave it to me before she went to live in Australia with Aaron Miller. I guess you know who I'm talking about. The ex-All Black captain turned trader. They're having a baby." Lulu nodded. "I saw the magazines. Auntie took them all off the shelves when she knew you were coming." So we aren't old news after all, Avis thought. The dragon tear pulsed. Thrum. Mother. Baby. Avis cast an anxious glance at Melinda. The Kraken or Taniwha, or clump of kelp, was trying to contact her again. Lulu was still watching her closely. "Okay," said Lulu, and by the way she lifted her eyebrows and twisted her mouth, she knew she was being fobbed off. Her eyes are like tin openers that could slice right through to the truth, thought Avis. It made her feel all rubbed up the wrong way, like last year when the reporters had followed her, trying to get a fresh angle on her mother's affair with Aaron Miller. She had remembered one of the reporters in particular, a man with a ginger beard and devious blue eyes. Lulu wore that same expression now. She was on the scent like a predatory animal, and she wasn't going to give up. Avis decided she didn't want someone so perceptive and nosy as a friend. She needed a friend she could trust. A rustle swept through the branches of trees. A shutter over a window rattled. "Wind's changing," said Mr. Popoloo, looking at his watch. "About an hour earlier than the forecast. We'd better head home." Avis groaned. She was thinking of the Vegemite sandwiches and chicken that would soon make a repeat appearance. "Can't we just wait here until it's calm again?" she asked. Just thinking about getting on a boat again confused her brain and set a wave of nausea through her. Or was that the effect of the dragon's tear vibrating? "Not possible," said Melinda, standing to pack away their lunch. "The water's only going to get rougher." Another wave of nausea. But Avis thought of the patch of sand at the island's narrow point that would be a perfect site for Humbert to land and pick her up. She didn't need to endure a boat trip home, not if she could go by dragon. She needed to go by dragon. "Humbert!" The dragon tear hummed and vibrated. Oh no. She clutched it, but it was too late. She hadn't meant to send her thoughts so strongly, but Humbert was already on his way and flying fast, and Lulu had seen the vibrations through her shirt. Melinda pulled Princess's dragon tear from her pocket. It was vibrating too. "Is you-know-who coming too?" whispered Avis. Melinda nodded, her eyes wide with worry. "You have one as well," said Lulu, pointing at Melinda's tear. "What is it? Who's coming?" "Double trouble," said Melinda. Avis summoned up all the willpower needed to turn a wild dragon home in flight. Go home! She hoped Princess would follow Humbert home. She sensed Humbert hesitating, banking to turn. He was already a long way from the mainland. He'd flown faster than he'd ever flown before, and used a lot of energy. If he turned back now, he might not make it. Princess certainly wouldn't. Her wing wasn't fully healed, and she'd never made a long journey before. "No, don't go home." Her head was aching with the strain of the mind talk and her dilemma. On such a small island, how could they stay hidden from Lulu and Mr. Papaloo? Even with his best camouflage, Humbert wasn't entirely invisible. Go home! But even if they did manage to stay hidden somehow, perhaps by distracting the Papaloos, then she'd have to get back on the boat. Come and get me. She rubbed at her temples and looked up at the sky. Though it was doubtful she'd be able to glimpse a shimmer of 2 dragons quite yet. Lulu followed her gaze. Melinda took a deep breath. Noah, Lulu, she said, Avis and I have a secret, and we can't hide it from you much longer. Avis grabbed at Melinda's sleeve. No, don't tell them, she begged. We all have secrets, said Mr. Papaloo, looking sideways at Lulu. If you want our assurance to keep your secret, then don't worry. Avis, Ms. Child knows that I'm good at keeping secrets and hiding. I promise on behalf of my niece and myself that we will not tell your secret to another soul. He hesitated. But may I please tell Mrs. Papaloo? She is a woman from whom it is impossible to keep a secret. She may also be the only person likely to believe me if the secret is as crazy bananas as that Taniwha we saw. Melinda patted his arm. Yes, Noah, you're both great at keeping quiet, I remember. The reason we wanted to visit this island is because we hope to one day hide our secrets here. A lot was going on beneath the surface of this conversation. Avis recognized the shimmer of secrets starting between Melinda and Mr. Papaloo, and something similar between Mr. Papaloo and Lulu, but she didn't have the time to figure it out. Humbert's tear was vibrating. She needed him. She didn't need him. Which was it? I need you, and I need to keep your secret. I need both. Lulu turned her sharp eyes towards Melinda. You said you had a secret. Now you're talking about multiple secrets. If she had a camera, she'd be thrusting it into Melinda's face. Secrets. Multiple, agreed Melinda. First of all, I need to find a sanctuary for some endangered and illegally imported lizards. She paused to see the effect that this had on the 2 listeners. Mr. Papaloo looked sideways at Lulu. Lulu said, Choice. And, continued Melinda, as Avis held her breath, we need a place to hide 2 large, airborne dragons. A smile slowly spread across Mr. Papaloo's face. Miss Child, I mean, you nearly got me. His words were followed by that bubbling chuckle of his. Lulu got it, though. She pulled off her cap and flung it dramatically to the ground. You really do, don't you? She yelped. You've got communication devices. Dragon communicators. Her piercing eyes were focused on Avis. Yes, said Melinda. A couple of bothersome Teju Choka dragons are on their way right now. Why is Princess coming? Asked Avis. I didn't call her. She refused to be left behind, hon, said Melinda, holding out her own dragon's tear, which was glowing maroon. She felt abandoned, and I promised I would never abandon her. Now, Noah, thank you, but we won't be needing a ride home after all. There's a good landing and take-off site here for Humbert and Princess. Humbert and Princess? Lulu laughed. I thought dragons would have exotic, old-timey magical names. You know, like Smaug or Haku or Ramoth. Avis's stomach jolted at Lulu's laughter. She had not considered the names she'd given the dragons comical until now, and found herself wishing she'd come up with something fancier and more grown-up that would have impressed Lulu, not made her laugh. I called them Humbert and Princess when they hatched. Their names fitted them, she grumped. Her hands balled into fists, even though she had no intention of punching anyone. I think they're good names, said Melinda quickly. Lulu picked up her cap and put it on backwards. Wait. So, if these dragons are real, was that a real sea monster we saw out there? Asked Lulu. We don't know yet. It's a new phenomenon, said Melinda. It needs more investigation. We only have theories at this stage. Avis looked into the sky. Humbert and Princess are dumb names, she thought. Humbert? Who calls a dragon Humbert? And Princess? How babyish. She felt madder and itchier, as if the blood had suddenly rushed to each of her sandfly bites and set them aflame. Scratching them only made the itching worse. Naturally, Mr. Popolou and Lulu wanted to meet the dragons. Lulu was way too excited. It was like she had found the scoop of the century, and Avis wondered what they'd have to promise to stop her from going to the media. Drake Snelling had found out about the dragons, but he was so obnoxious and dishonest, Avis had hoped no one would believe him. Lulu seemed credible and likeable, and she already had the instincts of a reporter. Avis had a seasick sensation, even though they were on dry land. Or was it worry tummy? She checked the sky again. The glimmer was getting closer, a cloudy sort of haze that could have been clouds. Clouds moving against the wind. Humbert? I can see the island. Melinda and Mr. Popolou picked up the backpacks and a chili bin. I nearly forgot, said Mr. Popolou, reaching into his pack. I know how much you like these chocolate bars, Avis, so I brought a couple. He held out a bar of dark noir and a bar of dark chili chocolate. Oh no, quickly, put those away. Avis looked anxiously at the approaching clouds. The dragons. Melinda took the chocolate bars from him and jammed them into her backpack, making sure the zip was done all the way around. Then she explained to Mr. Popolou and Lulu the effect that cacao beans had on the dragon's ability to camouflage. Melinda hadn't mentioned the special effects chili chocolate had on dragons. The realization that there were real dragons in the world was probably enough, let alone that they were able to breathe fire. Aha, said Mr. Popolou. So you didn't do your shoplifting for yourself, but to feed your dragons. Shoplifting? Melinda's brow wrinkled. Shoplifting? Lulu raised an eyebrow. Avis scowled. Mr. Popolou had promised to keep that a secret. Her tummy wobbled. Her hands clenched. Just a misunderstanding, said Mr. Popolou, trying to cover his tracks. I'd like to see the dragons properly. Can't we just give them a little bit of chocolate? No way, said Avis firmly. They need to be able to camouflage us to fly home. The effect of chocolate takes ages to wear off. They all pulled on netted helmets and gloves to protect them from the sandflies. Avis stomped on ahead to the landing site, trying to project clear directions to Humbert. Her bad, mad mood was still simmering. She didn't want to share the secret of her dragons with anyone, and she was annoyed at Melinda for telling. Especially when Mr. Popolou had just demonstrated that he couldn't be trusted with secrets. And Lulu laughed at me, she thought. This was all Lulu's fault. Are you angry at me? Not you. I can eat whoever you're angry at. Not a good idea. Just a little bite. The two fast-moving clouds swooped low over them. The dragons had arrived. Avis and Melinda stood at the highest point on the rocky path between the main island and the peninsula to wave down the dragons for a safe landing. Humbert came down first while Princess circled above. The strip of sand was dry and rose in a cloud as he skidded and turned with a flourish of his wings, their bronze tips barely visible as he adjusted his scales from sky blue to sand and tussock colours. Avis ran to him, her vision blurred by the netting on her helmet. What are you wearing? Humbert turned his head sideways to take in her strange outfit. I needed something to keep the sandflies off, she said. Humbert looked about, trying to understand this new thing. Then he opened his mouth and breathed hot and lemony aroma over Avis and across to Melinda, Mr. Popolou, and Lulu. The swarm of sandflies that had pursued them from the hut disappeared. Avis tentatively removed the helmet and gloves. Nothing bit her. The island was vastly improved by Humbert's arrival. The others noticed the absence of sandflies and also removed their protective gear. Can Melinda hear us talking? Avis asked as they moved to give Princess room to land. It's only you and me. Good. Thank you for coming so quickly. You were indecisive, but underneath I knew you needed me. Humbert licked her neck with his rough tongue, then spat. Sorry, insect repellent. Humbert wiped his tongue across a tuft of tussock. I was fed up with Princess's whining, then I started to feel queasy, and I had a dream. He tilted his head towards Lulu and Mr. Popolou standing some distance away. Do they? They know, said Avis. Melinda told them about you after we nearly got killed by the wave? Because of Mother? Thrum. Avis grabbed the dragon's tear. How do you know her name? That's what she said in my dream. Then you called me with your neediness and I came straight away. What is she, do you know? Melinda said a kraken and Mr. Papaloo said taniwha. I don't know, but she wants to tell us something. I saw a beach beyond the cliffs as I flew in, where we could just get closer to the water. I could fly you there, just you and me though, Mother said. Our secret. Thrum, kraken. Thrum, taniwha. Thrum, mother. Help. Our secret, said Avis. Princess landed in a flurry of sand. She, Melinda, Mr. Papaloo and Lulu converged on the tussocky rise where Avis and Humbert were talking. Mr. Papaloo's eyes were wide with fear. He tried to hold Lulu back, but she was having none of that. Lulu's eyes were filled with only wonder as she walked around Humbert's shimmering of a body. He watched her with a suspicious eye as she passed, letting out a warning growl. Humbert, Lulu's a friend, scolded Melinda. Lulu apologized to Humbert for getting too close and moved to investigate Princess, who seemed to enjoy the attention. The sound that came from her dragon's throat could have been a purr. Is Lulu really a friend? Humbert asked Avis. How do you know? Has she been encouraging or offered wise counsel? Has she proved herself trustworthy? Avis murmured back. She gave me ginger ale on the boat when I was feeling sick. And she seemed nice, but then she laughed at your name. My name? Humbert bristled and his neck scales ruffled the wrong way. She said a dragon should have a more magical name. I do have another name, but Humbert is better because you can say it. Humbert tried to tell Avis his dragonish name, but to her it was the breath of a forest and the rumbling of rainbows and not something her vocal cords could ever produce. Melinda and Lulu looked around, curious about the mystical sounds. Mr. Papaloo backed down to the sandhill. So we don't trust this Lulu, Humbert whispered. Well, Melinda trusts Mr. Papaloo to keep you a secret, and she's his niece. It wasn't a lot to go on. But she wants to be a journalist, and you haven't had good experiences with journalists. Humbert got it. I don't know if she'll be able to keep the secret, even if she wants to. She'll need to tell people about you and about the mother. Anyone would. Humbert let out a long breath of warm air out of his nostrils. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But something about her doesn't smell right. He sniffed the air. I think that's the penguins, said Avis, wrinkling her nose. You're not to eat any of them. Not a single one, you understand? She looked up and saw Lulu with a phone in her hand. No photos, snapped Avis, even though she knew the photos of camouflage dragons only came out to ghostly blurs. Lulu pocketed her phone. You're talking to it, she said, but all I can hear is a buzzing sound, like bees. What are you even talking about? Avis could hardly say what they were talking about, the Lulu. Catching up, she said. Mr. Papaloo was standing at a distance, mumbling something under his breath. It sounded like a prayer or maybe a chant to ward off evil. It's okay, Mr. Papaloo, they're perfectly safe, she said, beckoning them over. We are not, rumbled Humbert, snorting some more warm air and kicking his claws to disturb the sand. We're wild dragons. Princess copied him and added a thrashing tail for extra effect. Mr. Papaloo leapt back. Well, they're reasonably safe, Melinda assured Mr. Papaloo, as long as we treat them with respect. And no laughing at them. Trust me. Mr. Papaloo didn't look like he was anywhere close to laughing. As he hesitantly reached out his hand in the vicinity of Princess's snout, she flicked her head to the side, her tail swiped the tussocks, and her wings flooded the sand into a dust cloud. She was searching for the air, something she could smell but not see. By the time Avis figured out what Lulu had done, it was too late. Melinda's backpack lay discarded on the pathway, and Lulu had unzipped it and was now unwrapping the bar of dark noir chocolate. Sand kicked up in everyone's faces as the two dragons raced each other to the chocolate. Princess got there first. She had a head start. Lulu tossed the bar into the air as if throwing chips to a seagull and stumbled backwards when Princess opened her jaws and caught the whole bar with a gulp. Humbert skidded to a stop. First, Princess's long snout and sharp white teeth appeared, then her horned head and elegant neck. As she had matured, she had kept her original crimson and red colouring, but her wingtips had turned to a rose gold, except for a small charred patch. The effect of dark chocolate on her metabolism meant that she also grew a little as she became fully visible. her curved tail deepening to a mahogany. She puffed out her chest and bowed to her audience. Lulu applauded. Melinda grabbed her backpack and zipped it shut and lobbed it over to Avis. "Don't let them get the chili chocolate," she hissed. "Visible is one thing, but breathing fire is a whole other problem." Rats! Now we'll have to wait until after dark to fly them home. Avis hadn't realised how tired she was until that moment. The thought of having to wait several hours longer on the island was almost more than she could bear. Her frustration turned to anger and her fist balled up again. "Why would you do that?" she yelled at Lulu. "I told you not to, and now look what you've done." She pointed at Princess, who seemed rather surprised at Avis's outburst. "We can't go home until the effective cacao wears off, or it gets dark." Avis stamped her foot to let some anger out. "You gave her a whole bar!" "Do you want me to—" "Yes," muttered Avis. "Scare them good." And that wraps up today's tale on Spin Me a Tale. But don't wander too far. Join me next Saturday at 9:30 a.m. on Plains Media, broadcasting on 96.9 FM for the next episode in our journey. If you want to relive the magic, all past episodes are waiting at plains.org.nz. Let your imagination stay wide awake.